Hello everybody, it's Philly Kuts with another comic book haul, number 54. That's right, we're going to keep the continuity and keep the comic book haul, the Hump Day haul, rolling into year 2 with sequential numbering, and I'm going to keep it at 54 instead of the Hump Day haul year 2, number 2. So we'll keep it rolling. I had a couple of my longtime viewers weigh in on that in the comment section, and they said, Philly, Barrasso Saber said, Philly, keep it the way of the Fantastic Four, and let's keep it going. And that's what I'm going to do. So, last week I told you guys about DC putting the axe to about 8 different titles in their doomed DCU venture, which was supposed to unshackle the DC writers from the chains of continuity and allow them to experiment and make more stories that were going to attract a larger audience of people to DC Comics, because apparently Marvel Comics is kicking DC's ass. DC wants to reel in some new blood, some fresh readers. Unfortunately, it hasn't seemed to work too well. And they axed 8 of these titles, and a lot of people were pissed off, including myself. In particular, the people who were reading Omega Men, which was promised to be 12 issues, and DC was planning to do away with Omega Men by December, which would have only put it at, what, issue 5 or 6? I think issue 5 came out. I just didn't bag and board it yet. It's in my to-be bagged and boarded box. But, so they promised 12 issues, gonna axe it in December at like 6. And there was a lot of public outcry. And thankfully, on September 18th, Dan Didio and Jim Lee, the co-publishers of DC, released some tweets stating that, oh, we're sorry. Due to extensive fan outcry, we will continue Omega Men at least until issue 12, as originally promised. So thank God, DC, at least you got that right. I know there's still a lot of people that are pissed off that Gotham by Midnight got axed, or is getting axed shortly. That was described as a Gotham, like, B.P.R.D. title, which I didn't know, and that sounds real interesting to me. I would have checked it out, but since they're going to axe it, I'm not going to support it, I guess, and buy these back issues, because, you know, I'm a little ticked off, you know? DC kind of trying to leave the men on the beach to die, right? You don't leave your men on the beach to die. You don't tell readers that you're going to put out 12 issues and then you cut it at 6 because it hasn't been selling very well. I'm pretty ticked off about Green Lantern Lost Army, which they're going to cut after 6 issues. DC never said that that was going to be a 6-issue limited miniseries like Bizarro was going to be, like Harley Quinn and Power Girl. So yeah, I'm a little ticked off at that. And this is just proving to be a disaster. And I guess that these were some of the struggles that were happening when the New 52 launched. So they didn't want continuity, and I guess that's what we're getting. We're not going to get anything. Nothing is going to be continued. But anyway, on the bright side, I am an Omega Men fan. Check it out. Tom King's the writer. Very, very good stuff. I've talked about it a lot of times in my other hauls. Check them out. If you're interested at least in what has been happening to the White Lantern, Kyle Rayner, you want to check out the Omega Men, because he is a huge part of that story. He's actually a prisoner of the Omega Men. They've placed a bomb in his throat. And if he acts up, poof, it's going to blow up. So, really, really interesting story. I'm glad they brought that back. But just disappointed in DC. They do have Batman Day coming up this weekend. Batman Day. It's a good deal for you if you like digital comics. If you buy digital, they're going to be running like 80% off sales on the weekend. Let me see here. I got an article pulled up. 80% off all digital graphic novels. I guess that sale is going to start on the 25th. It's going to be a one-day sale till September 26th. And then starting, I guess, yesterday on the 22nd, they're offering thousands of Batman titles. Different Batman comics are only going to be 99 cents each digitally. So you can get those from Comixology, Amazon, Google Play, Barnes & Noble Nook, it's called, Apple iTunes, and iVerse platforms. But not too much love for us old school floppy guys. I guess they're going to put out a couple, free comic books on Batman Day. So if your local comic book shop is participating, you may get a couple free Batman comic books. I guess one of them is going to be a prequel to a new Batman and Robin book that's slated to come out very shortly. I forget what the name of it is. I'm not really interested in it. And then I think a reprint of some old school Batman comic book. But hey, it would have been nice after last week. They did jack up the price of Batman to $5. It went from 32 pages to 40, and about, I guess, 8 pages of that were advertisements. So really it wasn't a deal. It was just more money for advertising space, and that's what we gave them money for. So I'm still, I'm a little ticked, man. I'm a little ticked. Not as much as I am at Marvel. I have my issues with Marvel. I just think the quality of the paper that those books are on are crap. That's what I don't really like. I think they have the least quality of all the books in terms of quality of the paper, the stock that they use. And I was thinking about buying a Punisher trade that was coming out today, and it was like this thick. It was tiny. It was about maybe the thickness of 3 floppies, and it was $25. So the latest Marvel trade that came out, retail, $25. Like, you got to be kidding me. Not when, what kind of deal is that? Not when you have Dark Horse putting out the B.P.R.D. I'm spoiled now. Not when you get Dark Horse, okay? Dark Horse putting out B.P.R.D. thick, fat, chunky omnibuses for the same price. $25 American. I mean, it's just, come on, man. Give us some value. That's all I'm saying. Give us some value. Don't have us, invest in your books and then a quarter of the way through, a third of the way through of a run you're promising, pull out. It's just not cool. And I hope you guys learn your lesson from this. And it's why my polls are getting smaller and smaller every week. Because, I'm just going to trade weight and order stuff online because it's cheaper. All right, so sorry to be such a downer. I just had to say it. Sorry about the rant. Let's start the comic book haul. I got about 7 books this week. Got away with spending under $23, which is pretty good for me. Let's start off with DC, Cullen Bunn. We have Sinestro. If you look, it's Sinestro and Lobo looking like they're getting ready to scrap, and I'm going to spoil it for you. This is more like a symbolic cover. This isn't a literal cover, so take that for what it means. This is a symbolic picture here. So I think you'll be able to interpret that and understand what that means. The cool thing in this issue is, Sinestro's building up his army. That's basically the whole premise of this. The Green Lanterns are away. Sinestro's Yellow Army is going to play, and they're going to build up their army as much as they can. They want to be the new policemen in the universe. They want to have control of the universe, and who better to do that than the despot, the narcissistic, Napoleonic Sinestro. And he's hired Lobo to do some of his dirty work and to round up lanterns of different colors, assassinate indigo lanterns, screw up some red lanterns. And in this one, Lobo is hired to take on none other than Saint Walker. And Sinestro needs Saint Walker for the future. He needs him for the future for when he hopefully gets his hands on some Green Lanterns, because Saint Walker cannot capitalize on all his power unless he has a Green Lantern, the power of will, to back him up. So it's kind of like a blue and green make the man. So Sinestro, I guess, might know a little bit of information about why the Green Lantern Corps is lost and what has happened to them, and that certain enemies have, conspired together to put these Green Lanterns to another part of the universe and in another time, it seems, because if you're reading the Green Lantern Lost Army, there's enemies or people that should be the enemies of the Green Lantern Corps, and they're not, because it seems to be on a different timeline. It seems that certain events that have not happened yet that have gotten these enemies, Kronos and the Relic, mad at them yet. So real interesting stuff. Cullen Bunn's kind of laying the pieces, the framework in this issue of things kind of coming together. It's all about betrayal as well. Look at this. Lobo actually gets a yellow ring placed on him. I'm not going to tell you what happens next, but if you read previous issues, you know exactly what Lobo is going to do to get out of it. There's lots of, backstabbing going on in here, and the real seed that has been planted here that I'm really enjoying is this conversation between Lobo and Lissa Drack, who is the historian for Sinestro. She's writing his book of history, his living history novel. And, she's kind of like Sinestro's squeeze, but she's kind of taken a liking to Lobo. So I'm really interested to see where that's going to go. And I'm really interested to see where the Saint Walker Sinestro team-up is going to go as well, because Sinestro is going to be holding on to Saint Walker for a while because he needs him. All right. Lots of independence this week for me. Hellboy in Hell, The Hounds of Pluto, Part 2. This is a conclusion, a quick 2-story arc. Hellboy is getting sicker and sicker in hell. He's dead, folks. He's in hell, but he's getting sick. His soul is getting sicker and sicker and more tortured, and he has to find a cure. The treat of this is that it's drawn by Mike Mignola. The artwork is by Mike Mignola, creator of Hellboy, and you have Dave Stewart doing the coloring. So you got lots of cool-looking panels like this, and classic-looking Mignola verse title, classic Hellboy. And it even gives a short, quick rundown of Hellboy's history in about 3 pages. So if you're brand new to Hellboy and you kind of want to know what's up, he gives you a rundown. He tells you his whole story. His father was a demon. His mother was a witch. He got shot up out of hell, out of a ball of fire, and then Broomholm took care of him as a kid. He had a great job. There's a cool panel, if I can line it up, because I can't freaking see. Oh my God. There you go. Right here. Right there. That's Abe Sapien, Kate, and Liz Sherman. It's been quite a while since Mignola's drawn them. Anyway, yada, yada, yada. You get a quick primer. You even get a quick primer of some of the past demons that have been haunting Hellboy, and that's kind of like the crux of this story. How do we get over our past demons? Do we keep letting our past catch up to us and ruin us? What do we have to do to face the past to get through? And that's classic Mike Mignola stuff. All right, last week my comic book shop was out of B.P.R.D. Hell on Earth, number 135. This is the start of the final arch of B.P.R.D. Hell on Earth. I believe it's going to take place over the course of a year, so 12 issues. This is going to last 12 issues. It's the final shebang. It seems like the Ogdru Hem are aligning. The monsters. The evil monsters that want to take over Earth are invading B.P.R.D. headquarters. Stars are in alignment. Johann Kraus, they showcase his real armor again in this. He's becoming more and more attuned with the armor. He's able to kill enemies with one single blast because this armor is so badass. Kraus is awesome, man. He's like one of my favorite characters in B.P.R.D. along with Abe Sapien. It's hard for me to pick who I like better. But the last 5 issues or so have been all about Johann and him getting new armor. So it's nice to see him put it in use. There's all kinds of different storylines going on in here. Too many for me to explain. The one thing about B.P.R.D. that I really love is that the team has always been, changing. It's ever changing. Major things happen to the team. Major members of the team, such as Roger, the homunculus, have been killed and died, and they don't come back. The one thing about B.P.R.D. and a lot of Mike Mignola titles is that when somebody dies, when somebody goes, they usually go. They're dead. Hellboy, for instance, yes, he's dead. He's in hell. He's not back on Earth. He is in hell. He's not coming back, it seems. Roger never came back. So once you form an attachment to these characters, there's like a danger in the investment because you could lose them. So it's kind of a very unique experience because as we all know in comics, usually death is not a very permanent thing in a comic book universe, right? Things always kind of change or get altered, or they pull the altered universe card, That's what DC and Marvel always do. So it's just refreshing to see that kind of stuff. All right. Speaking of a Hellboy-esque team, we have Rumble. And this is written by John Arcudi. It's got the artwork of James Herron. It's got Dave Stewart. This book is tracking the life of Rathcraft. I said that wrong. Rathrak. He's a scarecrow. But it's his soul that's in this scarecrow. His real body is in another dimension. It's in another time, another place. And he has to get that back. And there's this evil witch that's kind of preventing things from that happening. This is just a great, fun book. Now, I'm not going to get all orgasmic about it like a lot of the reviewers do online. That's the one problem that I do have with the comic book industry. Like the gaming industry, is that everybody kind of seems to pile on the positive reviews about something to the point where it's like, Jesus Christ, does anybody even have like a differing opinion? Everybody rates something, like a 9, a 10. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But if you do like Mignola stuff, if you do like, Hellboy, if you do like B.P.R.D, this is a fun book. You got Rathrak. There's always all kinds of fighting in it. All kinds of odd-looking characters. There's Rathrak right there. It's just a fun book. He's kind of teamed up with a couple human schleps who are kind of these everyday, everyman guys, such as myself, that get kind of tossed and thrown into this adventure. And it's refreshing to see. There's characters in here that you never want to judge a book by its cover. People that look like bums, but are actually gods in other times and other places. They like to hold rats, too. So, check it out. Rumble, number 7. It's the second issue in the second arch, okay? So, if you want to catch up and get issue 1 through 5, buy that trade, baby, because I think Image, like they always do, they release the first trade for $10. Can't beat it. Another big reason to trade wait. Okay, Nameless. This is Grant Morrison's epic. Image Comics. This is a confusing book, man. This was on hiatus. This is the start of the second story arc. I decided not to trade weight this. I'm just going to keep buying it in floppies. There's this huge asteroid that is tumbling towards Earth. And it's going to hit Earth. And if it does, that's the end of everybody. That's the end of humanity. Now, apparently this asteroid is actually like a piece of a planet from another dimension. If you notice, that seems to be the theme of all the books that I read. It's some sort of lost dimensional planet that was in between Earth and Mars, something like that. And this is a piece of that planet. Now, within this asteroid, it's like hollow. There's certain hidden ancient artifacts in there. Has something to do with angels and demons. Actually, there's a lot of writing inscribed on the asteroid that is actually ancient angelic writing of all things. There's this occult collector guy, or an occult expert. His name is nameless. He's been hired by some odd billionaire to go on this mission of mercy, this mission to deflect the asteroid to try to pick up some artifacts. Now, if you notice, in a lot of the pictures and a lot of the astronauts' gear, there's symbols on there, and that's part of this writing. And that's actually on these people's bodies, and they're on these astronauts' bodies to apparently repel evil forces, hopefully. Now, this is typical, Grant Morrison, where there are a lot of layers and subtext to this writing. And to be quite honest, I got to go back and read issue number 1 through 4, because I'm reading through this. This is the origin story of Nameless, and there is a lot of weird-looking shit that is going on in here. I don't know if this character is having, again, some sort of psychotic break, but you're getting like a lot of crazy-looking panels like this. He's visiting like a psychiatrist. He's hooked up to all this equipment. Psychiatrist is telling him that, oh, I have this new treatment for PTSD. I want you to try out. It's going to erase all your fear. When you come out of this, you're going to be a different man. He kind of freaks out, doesn't want to go this route, and attacks the psychiatrist. And he's seeing all these weird visions as well. But as you can see, he's got him strangled on the desk there. So it's pretty intense. The one thing that really started to grow on me was the artwork of Chris Burnham and Nathan Fairbairn, the colorist. Just a lot of the stuff, it fits. It's very, very atmospheric. And I kept reading. I remember reading in issue 1 through 4, and I don't know, like around issue 2 or 3, I really started to enjoy the art. It kind of had like this darkness to it, this presence to it that just seemed to work. The way the shading was. There they are around a seance table. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on in this issue that I can't even begin to explain. And, Grant Morrison writes the kind of books where you got to read them like 3 or 4 times and you keep picking up new and different stuff in every issue. All right, another Image comic that I got was number 4, Empty Zone. And in this issue, you have the main character, Clarine. She comes face to face with the man who is responsible for the death of her friend. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I did not read issue 3. So I'm a bit behind with what's going on in the story. What I did read in issue number 1 and 2 is very enjoyable. Again, it's another character where you kind of don't know what exactly is she living in reality. Is she in dream states? Is she psychotic? Is she a combination of all 3? It's another one of these stories where you kind of have to sort things out. This has some great looking artwork in it. Jason Sean Alexander is doing everything in this book. He's doing the writing. He's doing the artwork. He started up this comic book through a Kickstarter, which, congratulations. I'm glad that someone who actually did a Kickstarter actually came through, because as you know, if you read a lot about the gaming industry, lots of times these Kickstarters start for games and they never get published. And lots of times those Kickstarter folks, they pocket a shitload of money without putting out a product. And that could totally make me go off on a tangent and lose my shit. Like her there, like Corinne. about Batman DLC and how disappointing that's been, but maybe I'll save that for next week as we talk about, you know, Batman week and whatnot. There's Corinne, man. She kind of has lots of versatile different looks. Sometimes she looks very beautifully exotic, and then other times she looks more cracked out than a cracked out you-know-what. And there's all kinds of interesting characters in here, but you don't know what she's, like, imagining, right? Like, all this stuff spewing out of this guy's mouth. I don't know. It could just be, you know, a psychotic vision. We don't know. We don't know how messed up she is. But just great looking atmosphere. There's someone getting thrown out of a window. And I'm going to catch up and I'm going to read this book. It's got one more issue and then the first arc ends. And then I might trade weight on this one. You know, I'm really thinking I'm going to start to trade weight on a lot of these Image books. And then finally, I get my anthropomorphic fix back. This is like a throwback to when I first started collecting early last year. Not early last year, like last, I don't know. I think this started coming out in October. October 2014 was when the first Wild Ends came back. Wild's End, Enemy Within. The anthropomorphic animals are back. The anthropomorphic animals of the English town in 1930s. Little Crow Church. Did you know that in England in the 1930s that people were anthropomorphic? I didn't know that. I didn't know that people looked like little dogs and cats and craziness like that. Basically, this can best be described as, you know, War of the World meets Wind in the Willows, War in the World meets Babar the Elephant. The original Wild's End story, and it was just called Wild End, alien invaders that actually look just like the War of the Worlds invaders. If you ever saw that movie or read the book, you know, the large tentacle monsters came down and invaded this little English town. And it really is a story about common men, common anthropomorphic men, that band together and do the impossible and stand up to an alien invasion and actually get through it. But they only get through it because they choose to work together. You know, they chose to, you know, look past differences. You know, one of the characters was town drunk that no one ever really respected or believed. Another character was a reclusive writer. She was a woman. She was a cat. I don't know if they have her in here. She kind of got over her fears of anxiety. You have the stoic dog character that I showed you guys in the beginning. He's a war veteran. I can't remember his name. He has to get over, you know, the struggles of PTSD, but they all seem to get over all their personal demons and stand up to the alien invasion. Now, this story focuses around the enemy within, meaning that perhaps these aliens are already among the people. Perhaps maybe they've possessed some of the characters, or they've infected some of the characters. I don't know yet because I haven't read it. But I know that that's the basic premise, the enemy within. So I really look forward to reading this. This is put out by Boom Comics. It's been a little while since I picked up anything by Boom. It's written by Dan Abnett and written by, or drawn by, rather, my apologies. It's getting late. I.N.G. Colbert. I don't know what all those initials stand for, but Ing Colbert. All right, people. Sorry that this episode was a little ranty. Didn't have a lot of time to study or read the books this week, so I apologize. Got out of work a bit late, and then, you know, there was a traffic jam after, so I was all primed up and ready to rage. And I think I did a little bit, but that's okay, right? I mean, there's many flavors to Philly Cuts. But thanks as always for watching. Let me know what you're liking. Let me know what you're disliking. Tell me what you're reading in the comments section below. Let's take a return to cover of the week. Let's see here. Oh, my Lord. I guess I'm going to give it to Sinestro grapple and face with Lobo. I guess we got to give Lobo some props because he is one of the comic books that has been axed. And I'm a little pissed because I was actually really starting to enjoy Lobo. I never read him in the 90s. And when he was big, I guess at one point Lobo was one of the most popular comics. But I was really starting to enjoy Lobo, and I was actually thinking about buying him. But I guess now I'm not, because it's all over. Maybe if they reboot him again, who knows. All right, dudes, peace. Number 54 in the books. Have a nice day. I'm out. Bye.